Hey everyone, Dr. Richard Lai here with Study Acupuncture with me. Now this episode is on the Chong Mai. Now the Chong Mai is also known as the penetrating vessel or the thoroughfare vessel. There's also three other names for it. It's known as the Sea of Blood, the Sea of the 12 Channels, and the Sea of the 5 Yin and 6 Yang organs. Now in this episode, we're going to go over the Chong Mai, the pathway of the Chong Mai, and two of its clinical applications right after we hear a quick word from our sponsor. All right, and we're back. So this episode is on the Chong Mai. Now, the Chong Mai is one of the extraordinary channels, and I do have an episode on the extraordinary channels, which I'll link in the description below. Now, the Chong Mai, or the penetrating vessel, just like all other extraordinary vessels, it has an opening point and it has a coupled point. Now, the opening point of the Chong Mai is spleen 4, and the coupled point is PC6. Now, I go into different ways that you can use a combo of those 2 points in order to activate the extraordinary vessel in my extraordinary vessel video, which is linked below in the description. Now, a quick reminder here, just to sign up for my email list, because when you sign up for my email list, you get free study guides into your email inbox. So please go to www.studyacuwithme.com to sign up. Now, if you have any issues signing up, just shoot me an email. I'll make sure that you're signed up. So you can email me at drlai@studyacuwithme.com. So this vessel, the penetrating vessel, is also known as the Chong Mai. It's also known as the thoroughfare vessel. Now, it's also called the Sea of Blood, it's called the Sea of the 12 Channels, and it's called the Sea of the 5 Yin and 6 Yang organs. So first of all, it's called the penetrating vessel by Maciocha, and it's also called the thoroughfare vessel by other texts like, for example, Cam. Now, the reason why Maciocha chooses to use the word penetrating vessel is because the Chinese word for this vessel is Chong Mai. Now, that word, Chong, is like rushing. Like if you see that someone's in a rush, they're trying to get somewhere really quick, you'd be like, hey, 你冲去哪里? Or like, 你急着去哪里? Meaning, where are you in such a rush to get to? But that word, Chong, is also a synonym for a street or a thoroughfare. And what a thoroughfare is just a path that connects between two places. So if you look at the pathway of the channel itself, you could see why Maciocha uses that word penetrating and why in Chinese medicine they use the word Chong to describe this channel. And that's because the pathway itself has a lot of branches and it connects so many different parts of the body, just like how streets and highways connect multiple cities and states. Now, that being said, let's look at the pathway of the Chong Mai. Now, the first branch, I combine it into one, and I like to call it the Spinal Canal branch. But some texts, they split it off into two. They'll call it an internal branch and a spinal branch, but I just keep it going as one. So in this picture, you can see that this branch, it starts in the lower abdominal area. Specifically, it starts between your kidneys, and it flows down through your uterus before it emerges at Ren 1. Now, from Ren 1, this branch is going to go up the inside of the spinal column. Specifically, it goes through what's known as your spinal canal. Now, your spinal canal is this opening that's created when all your vertebrae are stacked on top of each other, and it makes a canal. So what's in that canal? Your spinal cord is in that canal. So this internal branch, or this spinal canal branch, starts between your kidneys, goes down, flows through your uterus, then it goes out Ren 1, and it goes up your spinal canal. So obviously then, this Chong Mai has an effect on your uterus, and it also has an effect on your spine. Now the next branch is branch number 2, which is also known as your abdominal branch. Now this branch comes out at stomach 30, and it goes up the front of your abdomen, and it connects with your kidney channel. Specifically, it shares kidney points. So it takes kidney 11 to kidney 21. Now after kidney 21, the channel disperses into the chest, which you can see in the picture here. So this channel would have an effect on the chest and the things in the chest, for example, the heart or even the breasts. Next, we have branch number 3. Now, branch number 3 is your face branch, or it's also known as your head branch. Now, this branch goes up from your chest, goes up over your throat, it goes across your chin and your jaw, goes around your mouth, and it ends up at your eye. Now, fun trivia fact about this branch is that because this branch goes over your throat, your jaw area, your chin area, this channel actually brings blood to this area. Now, it does this more so in men than in women, which Chinese medicine theory says that's why men can have beards. And with women, it's not until menopause where menstruation has stopped, so basically meaning they're not losing blood anymore. And so with menopause, that's why one of the symptoms is actually facial hair growth. So that's branch number 3. Now, branch number 4 is the leg branch or the descending branch. Now, this branch goes from stomach 30 and it supplies your legs. So it goes down the medial side of your thigh, it goes down the medial side of your leg, and it goes behind your medial malleolus to get to the bottom of your foot. Now, in this area at the heel, there's another branch that separates off and it goes towards your big toe. Now, some texts say that it goes to a specific point, which is liver 3. So, a couple things about this descending branch. Number 1, it's responsible for the circulation of qi in your leg. So, if your patient has cold feet, they have some numbness, the Chong Mai can be used with this channel in mind. Now, the second thing about this branch is that there's a connection between the internal branch and this descending branch. So, that internal branch starts between your kidneys. And this branch starts at stomach 30 and goes down the medial side of your leg. Now, because of that connection, this branch is able to bring yin qi down to your legs. And this is really important in cases of restless leg syndrome. Because with restless leg syndrome, your leg shakes. It feels like it's not at rest. And that's because there's an apparent imbalance between yin and yang. So yin qi can be brought down to the legs through this descending branch, which would in turn bring rest to the legs. And then lastly, there's this connection with liver 3. Now we know already that liver has a strong connection with the genitals because it encircles the genitals. And it also has a strong influence on blood because it stores blood. So that's why the liver can be used in cases of gynecological issues. Now, we haven't gone over all the clinical applications, but one of the clinical applications of the Chong Mai is that it can treat blood stasis in gynecological issues. So it can invigorate blood, meaning it can move blood in terms of blood stasis. All right, so that being said, let's talk about some of the clinical applications of the Chong Mai, which number 1, you can see that it's applicable in cases of rebellious qi of the penetrating vessel. And then number 2, you can see that it's applicable in gynecological issues, especially blood stasis. So let's talk about these 2 clinical applications. So first, we'll talk about rebellious qi. Now, here's all the symptoms related to rebellious qi in the Chong Mai. It's a laundry list of symptoms, but I have them in anatomical order from superior to inferior. So from superior, we have things like anxiousness, mental restlessness, internal urgency. And now these symptoms happen because of that rebellious qi in the Chong Mai. Rebellious qi is just qi that's rebelling upwards. So you're going to feel this rising of energy that goes upwards towards your head. Now that rising of energy is going to bring anxiousness to the head. It's going to bring mental restlessness to the head. And it's going to bring something known as internal urgency. Now, internal urgency is this word for this vague feeling of anxiety, this vague feeling of restlessness. Like you basically just don't feel good. You feel uncomfortable. There's like this anxious energy that's coming up from your stomach, going up over your chest, like your heart, and then going up to your throat. That's internal urgency. And then with rebellious qi in the Chong Mai, your patient might have things like headache. They might have heat in the face. So you can see that there's a contrast between the head and the feet, with the head being hot and the feet being cold. And that's because of the different pathways that we just talked about. We have a face branch and we have a descending branch. And with rebellious qi, that qi is rebelling upward, and that causes that energy to rise up to the face and the face to be hot. And because there's that rising up, there's going to be an emptiness below, and that's why we have cold feet. And then with the rest of these manifestations, they're pretty simple, they're pretty straightforward. So we have things like sighing. Now, sighing's related to fullness in the chest, so that's why we sigh to get that fullness out. We might also have breathlessness, we might have a distension feeling in the chest, even in the breast, might have palpitations, might have chest tightness, distension in the epigastrium, the abdominal area. All of this has to do with the pathway of the channel. And then, of course, we also have manifestations like painful periods or even irregular periods. And that's again because of the connection between the Chong Mai that's flowing through the uterus. All right, next let's talk about the next clinical application, which is blood stasis in gynecology. So we talked before about how the Chong Mai is the sea of blood. And it's called the sea of blood because the Chong Mai can control blood in the uterus. And that's because of where it originates. So the Chong Mai, it originates between your kidneys, and then it flows through your uterus. So it can control blood in your uterus. Not only that, the Chong Mai is responsible for the 7-year cycles of women and the 8-year cycles of men, which with men and women, there's this cycle of flow of kidney essence that causes maturation into different stages. So for women, it flows in 7-year cycles, and in men, it flows in 8-year cycles. Now, with all that being said, the Chong Mai is also the sea of blood. So that means it controls blood in the whole body, and it can invigorate blood. And the fact that the Chong Mai flows through the uterus is why the Chong Mai is such an important channel to use in gynecological cases, especially if there's a blood stasis route. Alright everyone, so that actually does it for this episode. That was a quick look into the Chong Mai. I hope you found tremendous value out of it. If you haven't signed up for my email list, make sure you sign up to get study guides that you can use to follow along with each episode. So how do you sign up? You go to www.studyacuwithme.com to sign up right now. Alright everyone, until next time, God bless and happy studying.